What is up, everybody? It is Og here, back with another video, and I'm excited for today's video. Honestly, should have made it a long time ago, but I'm going to teach you guys how to do AoE farming. Now, this is going to help you for AoE farming in open world like this. This is going to help you for AoE farming with Mara and other things like that, because it's going to teach you some of the fundamentals of some of your abilities, such as Blizzard and Nova, and how to make them work towards your best advantage. There's a bunch of different sections of this video. There's going to be thumbnails down below. So definitely leverage those to see kind of what you want to see. But what I highly recommend doing is watching the entire video. Let me know down in the comments below if this helped you with anything that you were curious about, any kind of issues that you were running into, because I'm very curious. But I try to go through everything possible. I show you a bunch of different pools and maybe even a couple deaths, which should help honestly illustrate a couple of things that are probably messing up some people as they're going through their pools. Additionally, stay tuned to the video because I'm going to be going over a Google Doc that I'm making basically to help you guys figure out how to get your talents and like what to spec into as you level up. If you guys are enjoying these videos though, definitely check me out on Twitch at twitch.tv/Arleus. Drop a follow, and here, drop a sub if you guys are enjoying this so that you guys can get access to all the videos and get notified of them in the future when I make them. Hope this helps you guys out, and let's jump into it. All right, so the first thing up that we need to make sure that we do is set up our bars and abilities and every one of our settings properly. Now, this is actually very, very important, and it's going to help you a ton once you start using this. But let's go through the couple little quick ways. So first is camera. Camera following style. This is traditionally set to smart automatically. And what that means is that if I try to turn my camera around, it'll always come back to the front. Now, this is nice when you're just running and freestyling throughout the world and whatnot, but at the end of the day, when you're trying to have a mob follow you, you want to be able to see where they are at all times. You don't want your camera constantly spazzing, just running around all over the place. So change that to never. Highly recommend that. Second thing, max camera distance. If we're zoomed all the way in here, it's going to be a lot more difficult to see the mobs. This is max camera distance when it's at basically nothing. And this is cool for first person, cool for warrior, etc. But I want to be able to see mobs that are following me behind me, right? So I want to make that maximum setting for camera distance. This is going to allow you to zoom out much, much further. There's also a couple scripts you can look online to go out even further, but to an extent, you want to be able to get comfortable with a specific amount of distance so that you're comfortable with the amount of leeway that you have. Set up those two things, then focus on your bars. 1 through 6 should primarily be your main abilities. We're talking Blizzard, Cone of Cold, Arcane Explosion, Frost Nova, Fire Blast, maybe a counter spell or wand or Frostbolt or something like that. You want to have abilities where you don't need to click any modifiers like Shift, Control, or Alt, and you want to have it in an easy position where if I want to target something, I just quickly target something and then perform an action. I don't need to go and move my hands all over the keyboard. We want to be as close to our movement keys as possible. That brings up the next thing, movement keys. This is going to be tough for some people. QWE is all you should use. You shouldn't be using backpedal. We'll get into that a little bit later with leeway. You shouldn't be using keyboard turn. No keyboard turning because you're going to turn very slowly and it's horrible. Use your right mouse button to turn. So the right click on your mouse, use that to turn whenever you need to turn. Q to strafe to left, E to strafe to the right, W to run forward. You want to maximize your auto run as much as possible. So here my hands are off the keyboard. I'm just auto running. This lets me focus on the mobs and I'm still getting to my desired location. So definitely make sure you set up an auto run as well. But QWE is very, very important. All right, now that we have all that set up, we're going to be ready to start the pools. Obviously, there's somebody else doing pools here as well, but we don't need a ton of mobs to kind of show what we want to do. Make sure that you have enemy nameplates on. Now, I have enemy nameplates key down to 1 on my numpad, but most people it's going to be V. So press V to make sure that enemy nameplates are on. What that's going to do is when we get close to an enemy, you're going to be able to see their red bar on top of their head. All right, so the very first thing that we want to talk about is we want to talk about how to properly pool. Because if you don't properly pool mobs, kind of like this, you can see that they're just coming at all angles and we're getting too close and we're just pulling mobs and they're scattered all over the place and it's probably going to end up being a bad day most of the time. So there is a proper way to pool mobs. And the way to think about it is that you want to basically position the mobs in a way that you can pool multiple mobs, get to one central location, and then that is where you go for the Novas. And it's okay if they hit you a couple times. That's what Ice Barrier is for. That's what potentially Mana Shield is for if you have a ton of mana. But the important thing is to make sure that you get them into one central location. So here, for example, we know that we have a couple mobs over there. We have one mob over to the left. We have one mob over to the right. I'm just going to focus on the 2 mobs to the left and the right just to illustrate this. So we have a mob right here, a mob right here. So we're going to kind of stand in between Skull and X, right? That way, when Skull and X get to us, they're getting to us about the same time. I hit them both with a wand, move until they're close, let them hit me once so they're perfectly stacked on each other, and then I get that Nova. From here, I'm running to a position where I can get the Blizzard going, and now here's where a lot of people mess up. You can either face away from the mobs like this or turn and strafe, but when your first Blizzard's done, you actually want to move for a second. Now the reason for that is that you want to create this extra little bit of distance here. Now look, they aren't close enough to hit me, so that by the time that they get close, I set down another Blizzard, run away, rinse and repeat. And I can literally do this all day long. And here, I'll just do this with the rank 1 Blizzard and I'll just keep on doing this. But the movement of the slight repositioning after the first Blizzard right there, just 1 second, then replace a Blizzard. What that does is it lets you get that little bit of extra distance that you need, and it actually doesn't impact your Blizzard ticks. Reason being, Blizzard actually takes 1 second before it actually does damage. And so here I'll show you. So here I'm not going to move. And now keep an eye on when the Blizzards are actually ticking. Because what you're going to see is that you're going to see, I'm going to end my Blizzard. I'm going to start another Blizzard. And there's going to be a very slight pause between the two where it's actually not doing any damage. And so what you want to make sure that you do is do that slight little movement, gets you that extra little bit of distance, the mobs can't get over you, and then you're good again. So here we're going to do the same thing. So right after the last Blizzard tick, I'm going to refresh, and you see that little bit of delay there before the next Blizzard goes. That little bit of time is what you use to basically move. And now you can see, because I didn't move, I actually get hit by the mob. You can do this over and over. You will notice, however, that I am working towards a road. A road is going to obviously allow you a little bit of protection because typically mobs aren't going to be along a road. That's the point of the road, kind of to give you that extra little bit of space. And so you can go ahead, get that little bit of space, get the clearance, and that'll help you a ton as well. Now what I want to do is kind of show you the exact same pool, and I want to walk through something else that's really important for you guys to do, and that is exactly how to, after you Nova, get away. A lot of people actually mess up here, but you see what I do is I Nova and I immediately start running away towards my Blizzard location. That way I can get my Blizzard going. Now, one option that you have is to blink during that. You can blink away and that's going to get you into position, but it's best practice not to blink the entire time because eventually you are going to run out of mana if you're constantly using blink. So what you want to do, and I'm going to do it right here again, is you want to get that Nova, and as soon as you get that Nova, you want to just step away for about 4 seconds. That Nova is going to last 8 seconds, giving you enough time to have the 1 second time until Blizzard actually ticks. So Blizzard doesn't tick for 1 second after you place it. So you got to basically have the Blizzard down at 7 seconds. So you take 4 seconds to run, position your Blizzard, and then you're far enough away from the mobs. This is going to be kind of something that takes a little bit of feeling to get used to the exact amount of distance you can go. But you can see here that we run for about 4 to 5 seconds every single time and get pretty far away. Like I said, when you're first getting started with this, go ahead and use blink just to kind of have a little bit of a crutch just so you can kind of figure it out and get used to the actual distance itself. All right, so 2 mobs is great, but who wants to just kill 2 mobs at once? So let's focus on more mobs, and I'm actually not going to use Ice Barrier. Now, obviously, if you have Ice Barrier, use Ice Barrier, but I'm going to treat it just like I'm a low level, and we're actually going to do 5 mobs. So what I'm looking for here is I'm seeing 3 mobs to my left, 3 mobs to my right. I know this mob's the furthest away, so I'm going to pull him with a rank 1 Fireball. Then I'm going to pull this guy. Then I'm going to wand this guy. Counterspell the guy over here. And you can kind of see that I'm working back into one centralized location. And you can see, although I'm getting hit, I'm able to get off a good amount of damage. Now, I did get dazed. And because I got dazed, I decided to blink. Typically, if you have, Ice Barrier up, you're probably not going to get dazed. So it's not too much of a worry right there. But you can see that I basically use this kind of circular pattern to get them into that central location. We pull the furthest mob first, he starts moving towards us, then we start focusing on some of the closer mobs, they start running towards us, and then we eventually just work into one solid location where we stop, and we literally just wait for the mobs to get to us, because at the end of the day, they're going to run towards us, and then we're going to be able to get them all grouped. Take a little bit of damage, but don't be afraid of taking too many hits, because eventually you're going to be able to live through some hits, right? You're not just going to plop right on the ground the second that you're taking any damage, so you'll be able to pull it off. But as you can see, it's pretty easy to get down these mobs, even with just 5 mobs without any kind of, Ice Barrier or anything. I almost just died because I didn't have any wand skill. So I just want to review this one more time to kind of show how we do this. So we know that we have the 3 on the left and we have the 3 on the right. So they're pretty well positioned, but we know that we can at least get them into kind of one central location. Use movement. Use abilities that you're using. Counterspell. You can cast Counterspell no matter what direction you're facing. No matter how you're hitting these mobs, you can cast Counterspell. So that's huge. You're going to see here, we're going to open up with this Fireball on this mob, get that going, and then we just go from there, right? Move over a little bit, get that wand going, get that Counterspell going, and then we can get them all to stack up right here. And then we see that we get hit a couple times and get away, and we're perfectly fine. All right, Arleus, that's cool and all, 6 mobs, but I've been doing that for a while. I have my mount. How do I do the big boy pools with my mount? Well, first off, you need to figure out what mobs you want to grab, and you want to group them all up. Now, what you want to make sure that you do is you do not want to stack them up by running straight through them. You want to run near them, but not straight through them. And you can see right here that I group them up, and I'm running near them, group them all up, and then I go for the Novas. Now, if one resists, I recommend cold snapping and novaing again, or use basically Cone of Cold to kind of group them up while you wait. So here we can see I grouped them all up. I'm using my standard Blizzard strategy. We rounded them up all up with our mount, got them into a good place. But let's say one resists, and let's just pretend that this guy resists. So I'm going to get him and force him out of the thing. Okay, so now he's chasing us. He's going to hit us once. He's going to get slowed, and then we're going to need to slow the... Oh, no! So I totally planned that death so I could teach you guys a valuable lesson. Yeah, 100%, 100%. Look down here at our combat log. What do you notice? If I can ever get this to go away. Crushing, 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 crushing. Basically, every single one of them crit me. Why did that happen? My defense level. You can see here that my base stats are 245 based on my level, and these mobs are between 50 and 51. So their base stats are 250, 255. My defense level, though, is 220. Higher defense makes you harder to hit and makes monsters less likely to land a crushing blow. This is why it's very, very important to not let them hit you, but also very important to know that if they do hit you, they can wreck you if your defense level isn't high enough. Now, defense is automatically going to level up, but I did use the ZF leveling strat, and so that's why my defense is a little bit low, because I leveled up with ZF where I'm not getting hit, and so since I'm not getting hit, I'm not leveling up my defense. So you need to be extra precautionary if you do something like that when you're grouping up mobs such as this, because they could just one-shot you when you come out of block or when you just tank them like that. But here, I'm going to leverage Ice Block to come out of here and not take too much damage. We can see that we got a couple resist, and so what we're going to do is we're going to run close to these mobs. We get dazed, which is unfortunate, but we're going to get that Cone of Cold, and we're going to swap into Cone of Cold kiting. So you can see here that all these mobs are still pretty slow, and I'm definitely getting hit a decent bit because I'm constantly dazed. But we can basically kite them around in a big circle until Nova's back up and then get the Nova going. So here I just had a resist here. You can see that I'm basically dragging him around. I let okay, I need to get these guys out of these graves. These graves are horrible for line of sight. Anyways, I let the ice armor that I have kind of keep all the mobs slowed, and you can see that I'm just kiting them around in a circle. So it's a lot easier when you have less mobs. But you can see that I can kite these guys around as long as I want, preferably getting them away from graves if possible. But then when I'm ready to go for it, I just get that Nova, and I get right back into that Blizzard rotation. So that brings up the third point, and there's a lot of lessons coming from these pools, which is really good that I'm doing it here. Orange mobs. Orange mobs, even with elemental precision, still have a very high chance to be able to resist you, right? Elemental precision 6%, which a mob your level has a 5% chance, so it brings it back to 99. But when the mob is orange to you, I believe it's 11% chance for 3 levels and then 17% chance for 4 levels, or maybe it's 17 and then 34. Regardless, it's a decent chance to resist you, so you're going to potentially get some resists. That's why you need to have Cold Snap ready again. So I purposely didn't Cold Snap there to try to show you guys the Cone of Cold, but in the event that you are going against mobs that are decently higher level than you, you definitely want to be leveraging that. But here, we're just going to focus on trying to get the kill. We're not going to mess around with any of the other stuff and showing you Cone of Cold strategies and things like that. But that's what you can use on less mobs when you're trying to take them out. But here, we're just going to group up this first half and group them up into a circle because we're going to get resets in this first loot group anyways if we don't. So we're going to dismount right there, go for the Nova. We can see that we get all of them Nova'd, so we're going to focus on the Blizzard. We run away for about 5 seconds and get that Blizzard running. From here, we're not getting too close to the right mobs, so we know we aren't going to pull them. But we are going to move a little bit forward and to the right. In between our blizzards, we can see the blizzard tick is still going, and I still have 5 seconds, so I know that I'm safe to get off this next blizzard without a problem. We're now going to reposition to the left of the mobs, so I take a nice little arc formation, get them grouped back up, get them into position, run away, and get that blizzard going again. Now, something really important to note about blizzards when you get to higher levels, you can see that there's 3 mobs in the front here that are a little bit ahead of the rest of the mobs. Rank 1 blizzard will never do enough damage to cause a mob to break out of blizzard. Max rank blizzard will. So let me repeat that again. Rank 1 blizzard, you could show here, will not do enough damage on 1 tick to break them out of blizzard, or out of Nova. Max rank blizzard will. That lends a very, very useful tip when boosting, which is use 1 tick of rank 1 blizzard to get them slowed. So that applies the slow effect, right? Then we swap over to max rank blizzard. So they get 1 tick of the slow, so every mob is slowed, they're all moving the same speed. Then we swap over to max rank blizzard, and then we can do some damage because everything is grouped up. But there you can see, you just get them all grouped up. It's no different when you have 6 mobs versus 10 mobs. The only difference, or 11 mobs, I guess. The only difference is that you're going to be taking some extra damage. So watch out for mobs that are too high of a level for you. Watch out for mobs that are going to potentially daze you, and you can avoid daze with Ice Barrier, with Mana Shield, or by facing the mobs. Get them stacked up and get out of dodge as quickly as possible. If you get dazed, definitely blink out of there. So now the next question is going to be the talents, obviously. So a lot of people are going to be very curious about what kind of talents you use, at what levels, etc., etc. And so I'm going to take you through the exact talents now, where we're going to go level by level, and then I'm also going to have them linked down in a Google Doc below. If you guys do find that useful, definitely please let me know down in the comments below. I appreciate it. All right, so level 22 is where we're going to want to start using Blizzard. We do not want to do that before level 22 because this is the first level that we can get improved Blizzard maximized. This allows the mobs to stay slowed so we can do our Blizzard rotation, and you do not want to be trying to do this before then. From here, we're going to go into Cold Snap. Definitely get Cold Snap going right away. Do not get Frostbite. Frostbite's just going to cause mobs to be CC'd, and then they're going to separate. It's not going to be good. You don't need Ice Shards because we can't crit with Blizzard, so we're not worrying about that. So we go down into Piercing Ice. We get Piercing Ice for 1 point. From there, now we want to be looking for kind of mana regen or range of our Blizzard spells. And the answer is going to be initially Arctic Reach. We want our Blizzard spells to have as maximum range as possible so we can get maximum separation. You can see here that we're level 26, so we're not crazy high level yet or anything like that, but we're able to get some really, really important talents. Get Arctic Reach, then we're going to go for Mana Conservation because mana is going to be an issue early. From there, Ice Block really makes things a lot easier because you can block during pulls and things like that, and it's just an extra precautionary step, so we definitely want to get Ice Block. But then we're going to jump back to Piercing Ice. Now, some people might wonder, why don't we go and do improved Cone of Cold next? The idea is that we're not going to be using Cone of Cold too much, right? We're going to use it sometimes just to finish off the mobs or if we need to kite around for a resist. But outside of that, we're not going to be using improved Cone of Cold as much. What we will be using is Piercing Ice for that extra frost damage every single blizzard. So I like to double back, get that Piercing Ice, and then we'll go from there into Cone of Cold for 3. And from there, it's a gambit. And so here's where you can start to think, well, do I want to go Shatter Spec or do I want to go just pure Blizzard Spec? If we want to go Shatter Spec, then we want to go back up to Ice Shards. And we want to get Ice Shards going until we can get Ice Barrier. If we want to go pure Blizzard Spec, what we can do is we can work our way towards improved Frostbolt and then go Ice Barrier. This gives you a nice, unique kind of like single target plus multi-target. But what I recommend doing is having the ability to be able to go Shatter Spec, and so we're going to go through Ice Shards and then get Ice Barrier. From here, we're level 40, so we're almost at ZF. So with ZF, obviously we're going to be focusing on Blizzard again, so we want to go over to the Arcane tree. We want to go for Arcane Subtly for 2, 3 into Arcane Focus, because basically these like top 2 are pretty useless for us, so just 3 fillers in case we're doing Arcane Explosion, because we're never going to use Arcane Missiles. But then we want to go for Arcane Concentration. This is why we're at ZF. This is giving us clear casting spells so we can hopefully retain as much mana as possible. As soon as we are able to, after 5 points, Arcane Resilience, again, additional armor, so we're taking less damage. And then we can start to think about the rest of the farms from there. And we're going to think about maybe resisting some mobs to get some mana back if we want to go with the Mara strategy. Maybe we want to go for Magic Attunement to decrease the amount of damage we're taking from Mara and things like that. Or maybe you want to focus on Arcane Explosion. From here, have Liberty, get whatever talents you want. Maybe you want to go back into Shatter and start using Shatter farm kind of things. But this is going to be basically the main kind of pathway to go from AoE farming at 22 through ZF. Very last thing is the gear. Basically for the gear, it's pretty simple. You want intellect and stamina. Spell power does not help a ton because of spell power coefficients. Spell power coefficients are basically a percentage of the damage is done based on spell power. So Blizzard, for example, every single spell power you have only gives you 33% of that spell power in total damage. So if I have 100 spell power, I'm actually only doing an additional 33 damage with my Blizzard. So just to repeat that, spell power is not huge. Focus on intellect and stamina. And a little bit of spirit. Good way to do that is of the eagle gear and of the owl gear. Get the best gear you can find in the auction house. Make sure you get minor run speed on boots. I have some nature resist rings just for Mara pools and things like that. But you basically can see here that we're just working on intellect and stamina. All right, everyone, that wraps up today's video. I hope you all enjoyed it, and if you did, please subscribe and leave a like and a comment below to let me know so. And if you guys have any other ideas for any other videos, please let me know in the comments below. Also, check out the description for the Twitch where I do all this live, and also for my Twitter and Discord where you guys can be notified of any future updates and when I'm going to go live on stream. So I'll see you guys in the next video.